Hello, is this line secure?
I think so. Who's this?
It doesn't matter who I am, for aren't we all stories in the end?
Sure.
I'm glad that you agree. Is this Conspiracy Cats?
Yeah, that's me.
Mr. Katz, I can assure you we have never spoken before. However, when we last spoke, I have implanted the subconscious 4-digit code into your brain through subliminal techniques. Please recite that code now.
5, 6, 8, 3.
No, that is my PIN number.
That's your PIN number?
How did you get this information? I do not have a PIN number. Only hopes and dreams.
But you just told me.
Please recite the other subliminal code.
7, 3, 2, 5.
Excellent. Excellent. As you know, Simon Dan is the founder and leader of the SEAL Team 6, an elite team of YouTubers tackling the anti-scientific detritus of the web. We have been secretly taking recommendations on who else will be part of this team.
Yeah, I saw. That sounds like an amazing thing to be part of.
It is with great pride that we, at NASA, offer you the second place in the team, and as such, take the position of second in command.
Nah, you're alright. Only joking. I'd love to do it. It was a joke.
Mr. Katz, we here at NASA have gone through meticulous surgical procedures to remove all traces of humor. That being said, your joke was hilarious.
Oh good.
So, will you join?
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Simon Dan will be in contact soon with details regarding your initiation. Please don't call here again.
Get in!
I need to change my PIN number. Again. Will the pain ever go away?
One of the things I love most about NASA is the absolutely fantastic photography it sends back from some of its missions. Whether that be Juno, New Horizons, the Mars rovers, and of course, Cassini. Over the years, they've sent back some beautiful images. So imagine my dismay when I watch this.
The Cassini photographic probe was sent out to photograph Saturn and its rings and its moons and send the photos back to Earth. And recently it completed its mission. It sent back amazing pictures of Saturn, of the rings of Saturn, crystal clear imagery. And then NASA shared those pictures with the world. But is that actually what happened? And is that actually possible in any way? No.
Hello all and welcome to another episode of Flat Earth Friday. If you're new here, my name is Simon Dan and I'll be your host. That clip was from a video by YouTuber Orphan Red, who has some interesting theories as to why the Cassini mission isn't actually real. This video was voted for by my patrons in our monthly poll. If you'd like to get involved in there and check out all the rewards available, I'll leave the link in the description. So, back to the video in question. Let's see what Orphan Red has to say about the Cassini mission.
Most people just assume that Cassini sent back JPEG type images to NASA from Saturn, and so that somehow the Cassini was a lot like the camera that I'm using now.
Which it was. Cassini's imaging system had two cameras, a wide-angle camera that used lenses for large-scale scenes such as Saturn itself, and a narrow-angle camera that used mirrors to focus light for the more intricate shots such as the surface of Saturn's moons. Both of these cameras used a charge-coupled device that converts the light into a digital image made of pixels. Each camera also had a variety of filters attached for blocking out certain wavelengths of light.
And it was just snapping pictures and sending like an email through the vastness of space, JPEG images. And then the NASA scientists were just opening the email, downloading the image, and there we go, that's Saturn. Except that's not how it worked at all.
You're right, that's not how it works. Please continue.
How it actually worked is that the Cassini took data readings. The Cassini took images of Saturn, but then it transformed it into data that it then beamed through interplanetary space and then through our atmosphere, through the Van Allen belts, through the plasma shield that NASA found around our planet several years back, through the atmosphere, through the dust, into the NASA offices.
Okay, what's your point?
And then they took that information and took some very skilled artists, and the artists used the information that was beamed back from Cassini to create these fantastic images of Saturn and its moons and its rings.
So let me get this straight. You think Cassini takes a photo, sends the data from that photo back to NASA, and then some artistic scientist at NASA takes that data and draws an image from it?
Well, I forget what.
Right. Well, that's absolutely not how it works. Yes, Cassini would have taken a photo, and as the light hit the charge-coupled device, each pixel would have measured the brightness of the light hitting it. The pixels then translate that brightness into a number that is then sent as data back to Earth. So for example, no light at all would have been 0 and the brightest white 100. The data is sent via radio waves back to Earth, where a computer at NASA turns that data into an image. It's really not that difficult.
Very much like the camera I'm using now, the Cassini is taking a photograph of Saturn, let's say, or Saturn's rings. What's happening is the light from the sun is bouncing off the rings of Saturn and into the Cassini camera, and then onto the detector, the light detector sensor, and that creates the image in the same way that the camera I'm using now is doing. But here is a crucial factor that's required for an image to be formed in a camera that NASA is curiously not addressing.
Oh, here we go, here we go.
And none of the scientists, astronomers, astrophysicists, popular media reporting on these things, nobody's talking about this, nobody's brought this up, except for me. And I'm going to keep bringing it up because I think this is something that you cannot ignore.
Okay, I'm intrigued. She set this one up well.
You can't just say, I don't really understand how that will work, so I won't think about it.
Maybe you should say that exact line to all your flat earth friends.
You're a citizen of the world, and as a citizen of the world, you have a responsibility to make sure that knowledge is valued and truth is the standard by which we separate knowledge from belief.
The irony is melting my brain right now.
A belief might be true, it might be false. Knowledge, by definition, should be true. And so if NASA is telling us, here's an image of the rings of Saturn taken by the Cassini spacecraft in orbit around Saturn, and that becomes part of human knowledge, then it should be true.
Which it is.
Otherwise, we're spreading lies because these images aren't being presented as part of a religious belief system, iconography. These images are being presented as truth for not just North American culture, not just Americans, but the world over. And so if they're not true, then we have a moral obligation to talk about that.
And I have a moral obligation to tell everyone that the Earth is not flat and that space is real.
So here's the problem. In order for a camera to take a picture, the light has to fall onto the sensors in such a way as to form an image. And in order to do that, it has to be consciously observed. Do you see where the problem lies here?
Yes, I do, but it's not with NASA or any of their images.
If there's no conscious observer observing the light that's falling into the camera and then falling onto the sensor in the camera, then the light won't travel as photons, as particles. The light will travel as waves that interfere with each other. And so if you don't have a conscious observer observing the light going into the camera, then on your camera's detector sensors, you'll get an interference pattern. You'll never get an image. A camera out by Saturn trying to take a picture of the light bouncing off the rings of Saturn would not be able to form an image without a conscious observer there to collapse the photon probabilities, the probability wave distribution of photons into particles that can then form an image on the sensors. Without a conscious observer, you have no image. What you have are just interference patterns.
Wow, that is one of the most hashed up explanations I've ever seen. If I've understood Orphan read properly here, she's taking the results of the classic double slit experiment and using those results to explain that the light hitting the camera's sensors can't decide if it's going to be a photon or a wave, and it'll be some sort of big mess. This is going along the lines of Schrodinger's cat, or if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, of course it does. For your particular argument though, I would argue that it doesn't matter. Einstein proved the dual nature of light through quantum mechanics. Essentially, light is made up of particles called photons, and the flow of those photons is a wave. Waves can be of different lengths and frequencies, but a photon is a photon. The only thing that changes is the energy of that photon depending on the wavelength. The charge coupled device on a camera is essentially a photon detector, each pixel on it being a well of sorts. The CCD turns those photons into electrons through the photoelectric effect, which is turned into a digital signal. The more photons that hit a pixel, the brighter that pixel in an image. So in conclusion, it doesn't really matter if there's a conscious observer or not. Those photons are still going to hit the CCD.
So there are two possibilities. Possibility number one, NASA is lying to you. Those images are not taken by some spacecraft out in the middle of interplanetary space taking pictures of unwitnessed photon distribution probability waves and then beaming them back through no medium and then through the high-speed electron plasma shielding.
I'm sorry, I'm completely lost. The word salad is coming at me at unprecedented speed. So option one is that NASA lies. Let's leave it at that.
Probability number two.
I think you mean possibility number two, but we'll let that slide.
The Cassini spacecraft takes a picture. The photons, unobserved, unwitnessed, are in a superposition state. They're in a probability distribution. So basically the sensor just gets an interference pattern. So there's no image. And then the Cassini spacecraft takes the no image interference pattern data and beams it through interplanetary space, through the Van Allen belts, through the high-speed electron plasma shield around the Earth, through the atmosphere, into NASA headquarters.
Possibility number two sounds a lot like possibility number one.
That would require that the act of the first person at NASA to open the image file that the computer has created from digital data, from ones and zeros, somehow affects the past, that observation of the image itself goes backwards in time and affects the photon probability distribution wave at the Cassini spacecraft out at Saturn and collapses them into photons in the past.
I'm done. I'm sorry. The day has come where I can literally no longer listen to a video. To call it gibberish would be generous. To summarise, there is absolutely nothing in physics to say that these photos cannot be taken. We've been doing it for decades, and to be honest, to doubt it is a true insult to the advancement of our species. I implore you to take a look at some of the images taken by the many spacecraft we've sent into the solar system. I'll leave some links in the description. Thank you all for watching. That brings another episode of Flat Earth Friday to a close. I've been Simon Dan, and if you enjoyed this, please do like and subscribe. I'll see you all Tuesday, where we're going back after the dinosaur doubters. I'll see you then.